Hey Meadowlark neighbors, Steve again at Space 58. Hey, I learned something new the other day and I thought I would go ahead and share it with you. You know, I've been living full-time in an RV for, good grief, 10 years or more now, and I thought I had most things figured out. It was the other night, having let's say, an adult beverage with my neighbor, Jack, who lives behind us, and we were discussing a little bit on black tanks or holding tanks, and he asked me about the king or the flush king valve. And I'm going, huh? I have no idea what you're talking about. So we talked about it a little bit. I did a little bit of research. And if you have one of these, please leave a comment for your other neighbors on how well you think it works. And if you haven't had one, hey, take a look at the video here. We're going to try it out on 3 different RVs here. I'm not talking about the tank rinse valve. We're talking about an external valve called the flush king valve, which we're going to show you here in just a minute. So after Jack told me about the flush king valve, I did like many. I went on the internet and on YouTube and watched a couple of videos to decide, is this really some hype or is it something really worth having? And the videos, I think, convinced me pretty well on there that I wanted to buy one and give it a try. So I went on Amazon, of course, and ordered one. And this is the valve that we're talking about. And I already had an elbow that hooks up to my discharge pipe. And it already had the part up here where you can backflush water in, but needed the slide valve and all. So I decided to order the whole setup. So what I got was this part is the flush king valve. And you can see that it has the open and close slide valve, just like you would have on your tank valves. It has the inlet for a hose to backflush water into the tank. And that's important because we're dumping the tank, and if you're using a tank rinser, or even if you're putting the wand spinny thing down in through the toilet and all to clean out, everything's going one direction. This backflushes from the other direction, which actually helps out quite a bit. Next on there is a vacuum breaker and one-way valve, so we try not to get any backwater into our water system. I have an on-off valve here, and then I also went and I purchased a water meter, a flow valve, so I can determine how much water we're putting into the tanks. Again, we know that our black water tank is a 50-gallon tank, so we'll put about 40-45 gallons of water in. So it's really important to know how many gallons your tank capacity is so we don't overfill it. Just on this side, I also purchased another water hose, a black water hose, so I don't end up using this for any drinking water. This is just used for flushing the tanks. So we'll see how this whole thing works. But we're going to go ahead with 3 different tanks. We'll do ours. Then we'll go down and do Scott's tank. We'll show that, and up with Carrie's, and you kind of compare the results and determine if this valve is something that's worth for you to have on your RV and using it on a pretty much regular basis. I'm impressed, but you'll take a look at the results and come up with your own decisions. Okay, so this is going to be start of our experiment. We're going to go ahead and dump the black tank, and we'll do what we normally do to see how clean we can get it. Now keep in mind that we just got back from a trip from California a couple of weeks ago. We put some of the heavy-duty tank digester in the black tank because we were driving and figured that would loosen up any crud that was in that tank, so it should be fairly clean. And Cindy is meticulous about keeping our tank clean, that when we end up dumping it, she ends up flushing it. She flushes it with hot water, and even to a point where she was overdoing it, being overzealous and overachiever, and actually blew up our black water tank.
I did do that. However, we got a brand new clean tank out of the deal.
Yeah, thanks.
Under warranty.
Thanks. So under warranty, blowing up the tank. And actually what happened is we were rinsing it with hot water and made the mistake of getting distracted, and it filled up the tank with hot water and split the seams. Anyway, we're going to do, as they say, let her rip, and we're going to go ahead and dump the black tank, and we'll spare you the details as we do this. So let's go ahead and dump it. And the tank was supposedly, like many of you, what Cindy's doing is just running the tank flush, run it with hot water, and then she'll end up closing the valve to go ahead and close the dump valve. So to go ahead and fill the tank up a little bit with fresh water, and then we'll open it again. And we'll cycle it back and forth a few times, much like you would, and until we get clear water. I'm looking at the iPad with the tank sensors, and it's showing the black tank is low, so it's pretty much out of water. We'll go ahead and keep flushing that. And you can see that the forward gray water tank's filled to 98%, and the rear gray water tank is filled with water to 53%. So we'll save those to rinse out the hose when we're done with the black tank. It may be a little difficult to see, but there is fresh water going back on into the tank. And if I go down and look at the flow meter going in, I have 8 gallons that have gone into this point, just 8 gallons, so it'll be a little bit. We'll go ahead and turn the camera off and back up when I get to 40 gallons in the tank. Okay, after we've rinsed our tank out and everything, I just put 35 gallons into the black water tank and to see if it makes a difference. One of the things I did is I went to the owner's manual, the specs on this trailer, and it says that the holding tank is 50 gallons. So I feel pretty safe putting 35 back into it, and I also have the ultrasonic gauge to tell how much water, how full we are in there. So right now everything is clear through here. This is where we're going to see, for us anyway, whether the Flush King is really a good thing for us. Maybe it's because if nothing comes out, maybe it's because we have the tank clean our last trip. But here it goes, we'll see if anything comes out. And so far everything looks like it's running really, really clear. Again, there's quite a flow going through that tank, so it would seem that if there's any debris left in the tank, that it would have gone ahead and swept it on out. But everything looks absolutely clean in there. We're down with Scott here at Space 54. What we're going to try to do is use the King flush valve, King flush valve.
King flush, yeah.
On there. Scott's already emptied the tank on his whole black holding tank on here. And what we're going to do is, once it's drained, we're going to go ahead and put about 40 gallons of water. He's checked, he has a 66-gallon holding tank. Put about 40 gallons of water in, and then we'll see the difference it makes, especially if you don't have a rinse valve in your black tank. So let's go ahead and put about 40 gallons in, and let's see what happens.
Okay.
So Scott's putting water into the tank, about 40 gallons. So you neglected to tell me that you had one of the Flush King valves.
I like to do that.
Yeah, so it put me on the spot there. So how did you find out about them?
I saw a video actually online. A gentleman that actually, I think he's in Florida, that goes around and flushes tanks for people.
Okay, that's the Clean Tank guy.
Yeah,
that
Clean
has
Tank.
about an hour-long video.
Yeah, different things and stuff. Yeah.
So we'll put a link to that in the video as well, in this post.
Yeah.
So how often do you actually use the flush valves? I know you have a tank rinser as well.
I use the flush valve every time I dump the black tank.
Okay, and you actually get good results out of that?
Had really good results. Almost every time the first flush brings out something.
Well, we'll
Toilet
spare
paper.
them the details.
Yeah, paper, whatever, but it brings out something.
Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and clear this part out, and we'll be back as soon as we get ready to dump. Okay, we put 40 gallons of water back flushed into the tank. What Scott's going to do is pull the valve on the Flush King, and we'll see what the results are.
Should see some big chunks coming in.
Great, so Scott's narrative there says you should see some big chunks coming out. Yeah, sure, I think we'll spare the details.
It's toilet paper, okay.
But this is especially good for people that don't have a tank rinse valve. There's really no other way to really get a good rinse on the tank. So the first flush actually worked out pretty good. You said what, you normally do this a couple of times?
And yeah, make sure it's good and clean by the time it gets done.
Okay. It's actually getting pretty decent right now.
Yeah, that's not a bad run on that one.
So I guess we'll do like shampoo is we'll go ahead and rinse and repeat.
I have to admit, that's one of my cleaner runs.
Over with Carrie at space 137. She's already dumped her black tank and done her regular rinse. So hopefully we'll see if there's a difference by using the Flush King valve on there. So we'll hook that up in a minute. So making sure you have instead of 42-gallon tank, 52 gallon tanks. We'll put about 40 gallons in there. So anyway, she's got everything that she's done normal on there, and we'll see what happens.
Wish us luck.
Okay, so we got the Flush King valve hooked up, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put 40 gallons of water in and then see what comes out. Okay, we filled 40 gallons in, and what we're going to do is go ahead and open the valve and see what happens.
Oh my gosh, look at all that. Wow. It wasn't clean at all.
We'll try it again here.
Holy Moses. Wow.
So I'll go again.
Yeah.
So any comments?
That's awesome. I mean, it's a shitty situation, but it's awesome.
Ooh, and you're on tape with that.
That's alright. I'm good with that, as long as you're okay with
Okay,
that.
we've rinsed Carrie's black tank, 5 times? Any comments regarding this valve?
I am impressed. I thought I was doing a pretty good job of rinse out, and obviously I'm not. I'm sold. I am very sold. Great job.
Sounds great. Thanks for letting us use your tank. So after watching some of the YouTube videos and ordered the device and all, I was pretty proud of myself. And I know Jack has one of these valves that he uses on a regular basis. And I went next door to talk to my neighbor at Space 57, Ted. He goes, oh yeah, I've got one of those. He has it installed on his RV as well. And then talking to friend Scott, who lives just a couple of RVs down from me. Yep, he uses one too. So I feel like I've been kind of left in the dark. But these are the things that the RV dealers don't tell you. And you learn from your neighbors, your fellow RVers. So again, I learned something new.
That's all, folks.